My name is Trinity Lewis, and I am Tinsley mother. I have spent 11 months educating myself on Tinsley medical needs and being here for my daughter. My biggest priority is getting Tinsley appropriate care so I can make the best decision for my baby. This situation takes away my job as a mother and lets other people who don't even know her decide whether her life is worth living. Tinsley is nasally intubated, while Cook's media reports say that she is heavily sedated. One reason is because otherwise she would try to pull out her tubes. Additionally, Tinsley is awake most of the time when I am with her. Because of the medicine she receives and because I watch her every day in the hospital, I do not think that Tinsley is suffering. Cooks have been saying these things to support their opinions to immediately end her life, which we, her family, do not believe this is the best plan for Tinsley. Cooks has been saying that Tinsley has pulmonary hypertension, but several really great doctors who do not work for Cooks reviewed her medical records in December and told us that they did not see any signs of pulmonary hypertension. I have asked for Cooks to track Tinsley since July. That would make her more comfortable and give us other possible health care options for her. She may even get to come home if she has a trach. Since Cooks has refused to perform a trach for my daughter, I ask that they uphold their offer of giving emergency privileges to other physicians who can perform a trach. That would help transition Tinsley out of the hospital and home on prevailing care. To be completely clear, Cooks does not have my permission to publicly talk to media about my baby's medical information. Just like any parent, I want the best for my daughter. I definitely respect Tinsley's physician abilities and other options, but I have not had a voice in her current plan. I know that my daughter's medical needs are complex, but I am praying for someone to give her a chance. As her family, we want Tinsley transferred out of Cooks immediately to another facility that will help her transition Tinsley into prevailing care with home health support. But my voice and my wishes for my daughter mean nothing under this 10-day rule. I fully believe Tinsley's life is in God's hands and that she deserves a fair and fighting chance at life, however long God has for her. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
So can you kind of explain to us what happened last week and how much time you guys have now with the Court of Appeals?
Yes, thankfully, we filed an emergency motion with the Court of Appeals in a notice of appeal within hours of the trial court's ruling. The court on Friday afternoon granted the emergency motion. That means, and the court said this, Cook must maintain life-sustaining care under the statute until the court has determined the appeal or further order of the court, which means that there's no countdown clock anymore. So we're going to brief the court will hear argument, and the court will make a decision, and Cook must maintain life-sustaining care throughout that time.
Is there a date set yet for that?
No, I mean, we have, our brief is due it's an abbreviated schedule. We've already got the record before the court. Currently, our brief is due July 23rd. January 23rd. Cook has asked that it be abbreviated. It's only 20 days. This is a very, very important issue, and the Court of Appeals needs our very best briefing and the time required to inform the court of the legal issues involved in this case. And 20 days is a short time to file a brief, and that's all we've asked for right now. So that's the only thing pending before the Court of Appeals.
I know the governor has expressed his support for you guys and said that he is willing to put forth whatever resources y'all need. Has that happened? And what specifically has happened if that has?
The Attorney General has weighed in, and the Attorney General has stated publicly that they believe that the statute is facially unconstitutional. The Attorney General, I think, has previously ordered that this statute not be utilized by any state hospital. It should not be used by any hospital in Texas because it takes the decision away from the mom and gives it to somebody else. It's not conforming with United States Constitution or Texas Constitution.
You said that the Attorney General found it to be unconstitutional. Has there been any indication Governor Abbott may call a special session to try and repeal the 10-day rule?
Not yet. I'm going to let Hannah answer that question. Hannah is with Texas Fragile Children and has been very diligent in trying to help find another
What's your last
facility.
name?
Mehta, Mehta, with Protect Texas Fragile Kids. So their search for another facility is ongoing. As Trinity has just expressed, the family's wishes are that baby Tinsley be transitioned into a palliative care program, which would eventually hopefully bring her home with some home health support. Obviously, there are some things that have to happen in order for that to be a viable medical option. And so we are looking for some physicians who will assist baby Tinsley and give her the time with her family that her family desires. As far as available options and other facilities, I would just say there have been a lot of complicating factors in seeking alternative facilities. When we became involved in this case in November, once the 10-day rule was invoked, the medical information that we were given and which was purportedly provided to the 20 other institutions by Cook Children's was actually over 3 months old, which made it very problematic for physicians to provide an opinion on her current status because they could not even see imaging studies, diagnostic imaging studies that provided a recent picture and illustration of what her organs look like. So there's been a number of challenges with that, but that search is ongoing, and if anyone knows of any facilities that they believe would be appropriate for baby Tinsley, we would invite them to contact us and share that information.
How many facilities have y'all reached out to and have gotten a no?
I don't have an exact number on that, but we've certainly spoken to quite a few, and also spoken to, excuse me, a number of surgeons who have told us this case is not a hopeless case. There are viable medical options that are reasonable for baby Tinsley, but in order for those to be options down the road, there are some things medically, like a tracheotomy, as Trinity suggested, that would be necessary for baby Tinsley to reach that point.
Yes, ma'am. Sure. The next thing that's going to happen is we're going to file a brief informing the court as to why the statute's unconstitutional and why the trial court erred in not granting a temporary injunction. Of course, Cook will have an opportunity to respond. There were 5 amicus briefs filed at the temporary injunction stage. I anticipate that there will be many, many more. People from all over the country will weigh in on this issue. And so the Court of Appeals will consider our briefing, Cook's briefing, the briefs of the amici, friends of the court, and will then issue a ruling when it has had appropriate time.
Are you still talking with the hospital, and where are you in this 7-day window?
There's no more 7-day window. So there's no more clock running. As the Court of Appeals ordered, Cook must maintain life-sustaining care throughout the pendency of the appeal.
Can you talk to us about her current condition? The hospital can't talk to us about how she's doing. Or can you tell us, honestly, how she is doing right now?
Well, answer that question.
Tinsley, she's doing good. She's been awake. They started some medicine for her lungs, for steroids, so her lungs been more clear for her to breathe. So she's been breathing over the ventilator. She's at 30% on her ventilator. She doing good, like.
So last night, I think she watched.
Respiratory.
What was she watching last night?
Puppy Dog Pals. Yeah, that show.
She got mad when they turned it off.
Yeah.
Oh. Not yet.
She's active as well. She's not just asleep. Like, she acknowledged that we there. When you come into the room, you touch her, you talk to her. She knows that we there. Yeah.
Do you guys think you might be able to provide a more up-to-date picture of her? We would love to be able to have
The one from Christmas?
Didn't they have one? Yes, I posted one on Christmas or something like that.
We can share
Okay.
it.
We can find a way to get
Yes, we can share it with you.
Facebook or something like that?
Yeah, I'll send it to her again.
Yeah, I have it.
Do you
We'll share it.
have you dealt with cases like this before and how did that?
Yes, I've challenged the 10-day rule in another case, which is Dunn versus Methodist Hospital, which went to the Texas Supreme Court. They declined to hear that case on the issue of mootness. Mr. Dunn passed away before the case could be heard. Very challenging to go through an entire appellate process in these situations because almost always the client is very ill, and in Mr. Dunn's case, he's passed away. We've had some others where the hospital, once we got involved, the hospital just simply agreed to keep the patient alive, and we were grateful for those situations as well. We're all in danger here if this law stays in place, because we've taken away the decision of life that belongs either to the patient or the patient's family and given it to a nameless, faceless committee. We don't want that. We're all in danger when that happens. Thankfully, the United States Constitution and the 14th Amendment and the Texas Constitution says that we are guaranteed the right to life with due process. The statute doesn't have due process, and it takes away the substantive right away from the mother. That's the ultimate challenge in this case.
So do you or does any of the member of the Lewis family have any advice for other families across the state of Texas who could potentially face a situation like this with any hospital in our state?
Yes, say no. Say no. Say no. We don't agree, and then go get help. Reach out for help. There are people. Trinity called me on Saturday, and on Sunday we had a restraining order. So there are people willing to help, and we've been able. That was 2 months ago, and before that and that was at the end of the 10-day. So this baby has lived too much longer than the hospital wanted this baby to live, said that it should live. And yet, last night, the baby was watching Puppy Dog Tales.
Puppy dog pals.
Puppy Dog Pals. Puppy Dog Pals, and she loves having her nails painted.
Yeah, she be wanting us to pick her up. Like, she'll throw her hands up for us to, like, get her. So, I'm up here every day with her. I can visit whenever I want.
Trinity, if I may ask, unless your lawyer objects, did you or your family ever consider you face a situation like this at a hospital with your child?
No, not at all. I never thought that I would have to go through something like this, like, at all.
It sounds like this fight is far from over for you guys.
We're gonna go to the end.
Yeah.
Not just for her, but for you. For every patient in every Texas hospital. This fight needs to be resolved favorably, not just for Trinity and Tinsley, but for you and your family as well.
Amen.
Trinity, what's your biggest fear in all of this?
I'm not gonna say my biggest fear is losing her, because I know that everybody has to pass away, but it's just my fear is them pulling the plug on her without me not having to. I mean, basically me not being able to make the decision for her.
You said you guys want her out of this hospital.
Yes.
So now it's just a matter of finding her.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, y'all are looking like for facilities, not even just in Texas, just anywhere that will take the
That's
baby?
correct.
We're also interested in someone coming here to trach her if they're willing, correct?
Yes.
Is that possible for
If-
an outside?
If Cook will allow it, a physician can come in here and trach her, and if that happens, then she can come off the respirator, her lungs can get better, and then we've got more options.
Has Cook stood in the way of anyone offering to do that?
There are a lot of impediments to that happening, but we are asking Cook to either do it now or allow somebody else to come in and do it. Thank you very much. I appreciate your being here.